Hi, my name is Keisha Lusk, and today I'm going to be giving a presentation on the evolving walk and the major changes in gait across the lifespan. So today we're going to be exploring the fundamental movement, walking, also known as gait. It's something we often take for granted, but the way we move through the world is constantly evolving, shaped by our physical, cognitive, and even perceptual development. We'll be taking a journey through the four major stages of life: early childhood, adulthood, and older adulthood. We'll be examining the significant changes in gait at each phase. We'll also touch on some of the underlying theories, common challenges, and the constraints that influence how we walk at different points in our lives. By understanding these transitions, we can gain a deeper appreciation for the complexities of human locomotion and the factors that have affect our mobility throughout our lives. So moving straight into early childhood. So this is the beginning of everything, the dawn of locomotion, where we are seeing the development of infants, young children, finding what works for them. So the journey begins with the incredible achievement of independent walking in early childhood. It's not just about placing one foot in front of the other. It is a complex process driven by principles of motor milestones development. As the brain matures and muscles are gained, children begin to coordinate their movements. We'll see this with the high guard position. That's when the arms are above their head. Children are going to have a wide base of support, wide stance, and that's just to kind of find what works for them. These are essential for stability in those early ages. They're going to have very short and quick steps. The cadence is going to be constantly fluctuating, and they're going to land flat-footed most of the time. We kind of see this with Piaget's sensor motor stage theory, or his psychological perspective on it, and it's where learning is deeply intertwined with physical exploration, and that's what you see in this stage of development. They're exploring with the environment around them with different things that they are able to kind of work out at that stage. A common abnormality we're going to see in this stage is toe walking. Children consistently walk on the balls of their feet, while sometimes in a transient phase that they can begin walking on the tips of their toes, which can cause calf issues. The constraints at this age are quite evident. Physically, their muscles are still developing, and their sense of balance is fluctuating, rudimentary. Their world is very immediate. They're not thinking about long-term or the trajectory of their past. They're just thinking, nothing. How can I get here, and what's the quickest way? How can I do it? All right. Moving on to childhood. So this is where you're going to see kids kind of have an idea of what is working for them. This is typically from ages 6 to 11. Their gait undergoes a significant refinement. The tentative steps that they had in the early childhood are now a little bit more efficient, more stable, more steady. They definitely have a narrower base of support. The strength of the length of their stride is going to increase, and they're going to have that heel strike that you see carry out through the rest of the development. They're going to have very coordinated arm swings, and that's going to be contributing to their momentum and how fast they can get from point A to point B. This is when you're going to have the development of hopping, skipping, things that are very well coordinated. A lot of refinement of their motor skills. They're constantly practicing each and every day. Their brains are getting better at planning the sequences of actions and allowing more fluid and coordinated gait movements. A common abnormality in this stage is in-toeing or out-toeing, where the feet turn inwards or outwards. This can be due to just the natural alignment of their bones, and it does resolve mostly on its own. While a lot has improved from the early childhood to the childhood stage, there are still things that need to be developed. They're still building that body strength, endurance, precipitation, internal, and that's just the internal sense of where their body parts are. That is getting sharper, and they're not as easily distracted, and balance is getting to a really good point. Moving on to adulthood, and this is where you have a lot of confidence. You've pretty much mastered walking. Your pattern is not really going to fluctuate at this stage. So this is peak efficiency in our gait. This is where walking becomes automated. We're not thinking about it. It's subconscious. It's just really kind of involuntary. Stable, symmetrical. We're constantly with an upright posture. No motion is wasted. It's thought. It's everything is with a purpose at this point. Biomechanics are efficient and allow for the conservation of energy. We can walk for longer without fatigue. Some underlying theory here about motor and skill acquisition would be at this stage. A prime example is the complex motor skill that has been ingrained throughout years of practice. It requires little conscious thought. There are some abnormalities at this stage. Everything is not perfect. There's still some problems. So some issues can just be from foot problems, conditions like plantar fasciitis, bunions, stress factors that have been continued, and that can impact an individual's ability to have a comfortable and natural walking pattern. They may have had it before, but these conditions may have interfered with that, and they've had to sort of adapt a new gait pattern that allows for them to flow better. You can also have just secondary issues, back pain, knee pain, things that just make someone adapt tweaks to something that once they didn't think about before. This is where people are usually at their prime, but you still are susceptible to injuries, things that just can affect the joints, muscles, nerves, and things of that nature. Our environmental awareness is, at this point, is pretty excellent. You're able to execute movements with precision, but again, things like stress, fatigue, or medications can impair perceptual abilities that can impact gait. So there's a number of things that can still cause issues at this age, but usually they're things that have developed around this stage. It's not something that carried with them. Next, moving on into older adulthood, this is all about navigating the changes that just comes from aging and having to figure out what now is their new normal. So you're going to see significant and gradual changes that occur in the gait pattern at this stage. They're not all going to be indicative of diseases, but just a reflection of natural aging, that the natural aging process that everyone goes through. You're going to see a decrease in stride length, wider base of support. You're honestly going to see it's going to revert back to how it sort of was at the beginning. The steps are going to be shorter, slower, things like that. And it's due to just having a more cautious approach. They're not wanting to fall, obtain any injuries. They're just using a more cautious approach. Yes, some underlying principles that can affect gait ability at this age would be from loss of muscle mass, strength, joint flexibility is often decreasing, sensory systems are decreasing, reaction times are decreasing, and vision may not be as sharp at this age. So these are all things that can impact someone's ability to say, hey, maybe let's kind of slow down and reevaluate how they have walked prior. Some constraints, they're pretty multifaceted here. There's just a reduction in muscle power, bone density, wrist fractures have increased, vision and hearing can be affected. But this stage just highlights the interplay between our physical capabilities and the perception of the environment that influences a person's ability to walk normally. But yeah. Last, this is just a conclusion. What we've seen today is the gait is not a static ability, but dynamic. It is a lifelong journey. There's a process that everyone goes through from not knowing anything to becoming a master at it, but also at the end of this journey having to kind of revert and relearn and adjust something that was something that came so naturally. Understanding these changes is incredibly important, not just from a theoretical standpoint, but also for practical applications. It informs how we approach physical therapy and rehabilitation, how we design assistive devices, and how we can support individuals at each stage of life that help to maintain their mobility and independence. There definitely is interplay between our physical capacities and muscles, bones, balance systems, and also just our surrounding environment and how we feel, see, and interact with that environment. Those two things are gonna change the way someone walks and makes the adjustments that they need. But ultimately, the ability to move with confidence and ease is fundamental to our independence and overall quality of life. When we recognize that and respect the developmental trajectory that comes with walking and gait ability, we can better navigate and support individuals as they navigate through their own personal journey, from the very first steps to their stride that we see later in adulthood. Thank you so much.